Welcome to the Intergalactic Coliseum number 6. Sorry for the delay in the match for the BFA and the Bektos. This is due to a configuration with my casting software just being a little pain in the fucking ass, pretty much. Well, let's get down to business now. At the top hand side, you can see, due to the delay in the casting going live, we have Tokyo, which has a full-on Aeon base going up. He's just missing 3 more mechs, and he'll have the top of the Haven Reef done. He's also just finished upgrading his T2 mass extractor. He does have an air factory. He's got a second air factory going live now, as well as a land factory. As we can see, he is on the possibility of going sea. Before the cast went live, there was earlier T1 bomber that got released. And it did a bit of damage on Momo's base. Obviously, the damage is now being repaired quite successfully. As you can see, there was a few Seraphim engineers being killed early in the T1 bomber. Just in the middle of the map, we've got the biggest mass suck-up you can take. Them little trucks are absolutely epic for giving you a shitload of mass for pretty much fuck all, really. In the middle, he's obviously 1 mechs away from regaining all the mechs in his area, but there is scouts going around by Tokyo for Momo. As we can see, Momo is now going to be fully focusing on in the middle of the map. If we have a look elsewhere on the map, by the way, the teams are, let me just clarify that. It is BB on the top left and top middle. We do have 2 early bombers from, well, not early anymore because it's about 5 minutes into the game. We do have T1 bombers taking out engineers of Ithilis, which is building a T1 naval factory. And we did have a T1 bomber that was targeting Tokyo's base. If we have a look in Pietros' base, which is part of the Bektos team, Bektos team is made of Pietros and Momo-Uchiha. He is building this. He has got a submarine building on his naval factory, so that'll be quite good. Trying to gain naval dominance. As we can have a look, we already have 3 T2 mass extractors going up, and his 4th one is being on 17%, but he is going mass air, as you can clearly see. He is getting an early T1 transport up. He also does have an early base, a fortified defensive base, in case they want to try and rush this part of the map with an early T1 transport with a few engineers, and a mantis and a couple of AA, which has swiftly been, well, fought out and stopped if that was to happen. If we have a look over at Tokyo's base, we do have a T2 naval factory with his ACU bedded in the sea. It is 70% done, so that's going to be quite an interesting game. Early T2C. Obviously, there's not much happening on land either. If we have a look at the Bektos team, which you can clearly see there, we do have a successful T1 transport drop, which I said earlier. Pietros was trying to stop on his own base. Instead, he was stopping it, but he was also lining it up to move them units to kill the Ithilis' base, which has successfully killed 3 of the, 2 mechs and the radar, which would have seen it coming. But he does have a lot of mantises coming into play now. As we can see, he's trying to avoid them, but the mantises will lock on and will destroy. If we have a look in the base of Momo, there's not much going on in the region. Although he is losing a lot of mass because he's upgrading his mass extractors. He does have 1 T2 mass extractor, and he's getting the 2nd one online now. His engineer is reclaiming the truck, as you can see, a small icon giving a lot of mass. So that's going to be quite good. So we do have permanent scouts. We do have another successful drop by the Bektos team, which is successfully being bombed out by Tokyo. If you have a look at the overall map control, the Bektos team is actually got more map control than the BB team. But pretty much it's back. It can be built in any time. So we can see though, Momo has his T1 artillery firing at the power generators, because that's what is mainly powering the big massive T2 naval factory, which is now complete, and he's got a destroyer at 30% popping out. So with the assault by Momo now being thoroughly destroyed, we do have an early assault going on with the Orasius by Pietros. We do have a T1 frigate, as you can see, is slowly killing the engineer, which is now killed, but there is a frigate fight going on. If we have a look at the overall frigate fights, it's going to be quite close, but no. Iraq's frigate is actually focusing on killing the T1 factory, but there is a T1 bomber by Ithilis coming around, which is not needed because the T1 frigate has actually sorted it out. If we have a look elsewhere, we do have Pietros fortifying his forefront of the island to stop a T1 transport, which him and his ally successfully did very, very well. As we can see though, Pietros does have a T2 naval factory, he has going destroyers, so this is pretty much just ironic build by both players. However, he is about 50% behind Tokyo. Well, Pietros does have the mass advantage by 3 mass a second at this current moment in time. But he doesn't, but he is got about 20% 20 power lower. If we have a look at Tokyo, Tokyo does have the mass in reserve, because obviously he's building his mass extractors and he's successfully reclaimed the attacking squadron of Momo. If we have a look in the middle, Momo is very, very, very left open. Big, big, big left open. That's a bad move by Momo for the Brackus team, because he better do something fast. Although he does have T2 on his main ACU, he really, really, really needs to sort this problem out, because he is going to get overrun quite quickly. As we have a look, though, we do have another successful drop by... Well, we do have a Momo drop. He has successfully killed the T1 naval factory of Varatus. That may be a good move. That may be a good move, or maybe a bad one. But at the moment, it's saving them and it's winning them sea control. However, we do have the T2 destroyer of Tokyo, which is closing down on Momo's base. But we do have resulting destruction from Pietros, which does have him producing a T2 destroyer just as fast as Tokyo. If you have a look at overall map control, as we can see, Ithilis is pushing with a lot of mantises. He has 20 mantises, 4 AA, 3 artillery and 3 smalls. So that's pretty much a good attacking force there. He's got every icon cover. Obviously, we can see there, the BB team has realised that there is a T2 destroyer slowly coming around Arachorus' base. But on the downside there, he's got another one heading straight towards his base, which is Momo. As we can see, though, we do have quite a big land force coming out by Momo, which Momo has successfully isolated his ACU from the land force. But he's got his ACU concentrated on incoming mantises, which will be working quite well, and he's got his artillery shooting at Ithilis' ACU. So Momo is now going to be pushing his ACU through to Ithilis, as he has a small bunch of reinforcements coming around, but that Pietros destroyer is causing havoc to his base. It is destroying it quite quickly. So the question is, will he have enough to withstand the onslaught of the units coming towards Ithilis, which he is now down on 2,200 health. So this early push by Ithilis has really kicked him in the ass. Momo is using his ACU as a bulldozer, pretty much walking through his units. He is now starting to kill his ACU. However, Pietros does have his AA covering Momo's ACU. Ithilis' ACU is now down to 500. So Momo's going to be in high pursuit of that, and he has reinforcements coming round quickly. This is going to be quite an interesting win here. As we can see though, Momo has pulled his ACU back a bit due to the T2 destroyer of Tokyo. Tokyo now, he is building another destroyer which is on 60%. However, we do have two T2 torpedo sub. We have a cruiser. We also have a stealth boat. And we also have a destroyer on land. This is all going to the hell because of Ithilis' base is being killed by Pietros walking a land destroyer of death. Now we can see the real map control, the real eco coming out. However, Momo is now in defensive mode. He has T2 top destroyers firing their big ugly guns at him. He is on evasive technique mode. He is managing, however, just to dodge them T2 destroyers, but he is in more trouble. He does have a squadron of T1 bombers, which all have missed quite badly in the air for his ACU. So unless he gets that done quite quickly, unless he gets the air sorted out quite quickly, his ACU could be in for a T1 bomber destroying drop. However, we do have stealth boats, we do have destroyers, we do have another cruiser coming in on board. But Tokyo has 3 destroyers. This is going to be quite an interesting sea and naval fight. However, Momo is now surrounded by 8 T1 bombers. So they'll take a while to kill Momo's ACU. However, while the action begins, as we can see though, Pietros is now being attacked by a Tokyo with his T2 torpedo bombers. However, there's nothing else that can do here because he's on land and he's walking away. He can't really dodge that well on land. He is a little walking, shooting mammoth. But he is going to go down. One more shot and he is down. There goes Pietros' T2 destroyer. However, he's not really bothered out there. As we can see, Pietros has now come in to the play to save his Momo ACU. Obviously, the allies are needed to do that. However, we do have an AA boat, which is of the Infinity class of the Aeon, which is likely to do another drop. Yes, it is. It's going to drop, but Tokyo sees it, so the T1 has to drop. No, it doesn't drop in time, and the T2 airboat destroys it with plenty of surface killing. As we can see, though, Pietros is now focusing his on naval on T2 destroyers. So this is going to be quite an interesting. As you can see, the T2 top destroyers are slowly from range killing the outer islands of Pietros. But the problem with that Ithilis he has no base. Ithilis now has no base and he's going to get power bombed. He's getting eco dropped by Pietros' bombers. So he'll have no base, he'll have no power. Let's have a look at how Ithilis' base is really doing. He's got 300 income, but he does have a power storage over in his allies' base. So that's a brilliant tactic there as well. Although he does have 200 income, that is slowly depleting. However, there is T2 destroyers on Pietros' base, which is slowly getting killed as well. So that's the BB army. One's not looking too good. The other one is looking brilliantly, and the Bracos' team is doing quite well indeed. As we can see though, Tokyo is pushing his destroyers in deeper, but he is going to get outranged quite wildly by the destroyer and the cruiser of Pietros. Although he does have escort in the sea, that isn't a problem because it will do they will do the damage on them destroyers. He does have another destroyer coming around though, Tokyo, but it'll depend on how fast Pietros can really destroy these destroyers. He has got another one out now, so it's going to be quite an interesting game. As we can have a look, we do have T2 air coming out of Tokyo's base, so obviously he's done that quite well. He's got the eco to do it because he's spamming destroyers like he's shitting out pancakes. Quite fast indeed. We do have a brilliant tactic by Momo. Instead of forcing his enemy, which is depleted in all eco, well, which was depleted in all eco and still is getting depleted in all eco, he's moved his engineering force to assist Pietros, and he is giving him his units to do that. Brilliant move. Again, if we have a look, if we compare the eco, we've got Ithilis, which is in plus 77. Oh, wait there, that can't. Yeah, that's great. Ithilis is getting plus 10 raw income. However, as you can see, Momo is whatever unit he has left over from the early attack, he's now pushing them into Ithilis' base. But Ithilis doesn't really have the range to do it. Momo's income on pure mess income is 44. So between the Bektos team and the BB income alone, Bektos is doing the job. They have got the eco. They are forcing the opinion of the enemy, so to speak. They are making them commit units first, which is brilliant. Because if Ithilis can't get his base back online soon, it's going to be a it's going to be a 2v1 game, pretty much. As we can see though, the air slowly dealt with the T2 air of Pietros, which is quite fast. As we can see, Tokyo is now not producing any air indeed, but he is putting mass extractors around his mexes. As we can see, an upgraded T2 mass extractor produces plus 6. If you get all 4 mass extractors, all mass storage around it, you are upping it by plus 3, which gives you a total of plus 9. As we can see though, we have a destroyer slowly eating away Tokyo's base. Again, brilliant move. Destroy the eco of your opponent without risking too many units. This is really, really successful on Haven Reef. Because it can be done really, really successful on Haven Reef. As clearly shown by the early T1 drops and long range destroyers, as well as help from the sea from his allies as well. That helps indeed enormously. If we have a look at the bases of Pietros' first, he is building T2 power. So obviously he needs the power. Let's have a look at his eco. Yeah, he is eco stalling wildly. That is getting rectified by the T2 PD. If we have a look at Momo's ally, he isn't power stalling that bad, but he has got very, very little power at all. That indeed needs to be rectified, but he needs to get his mass up, which is a situation. If you have a look at Ithilis, he isn't power stalling, but he isn't losing any. He is getting his base back on track, slowly. If we have a look at the... oh, there we go. That's why Ithilis has failed miserably. Look at them tanks. That is what you don't do in Haven's Reef. You reclaim the little trucks you have to. It'll give you around about 400 to 900, enough to upgrade a T1 mass extractor to T2 without using any of your other income. That's how needed they are. If we have a look though, we do have Pietros' destroyer going wildly and being shot down by the T2 destroyer of Tokyo, as well as being mercied. And he is now bringing out gunships. But there is a T1 bomber drop, and he's successfully dropped on there as well. He has T1 artillery, he has T2 tanks. He's really invading Tokyo's base now. So for the second time, in this game. Tokyo's side of his island has been invaded successfully. Yeah, that's just bad. Nah. It happens once, you sort it out. It happens twice, well, you really are fucked. If you don't sort that out quickly, then yeah, you are fucked pretty much. However, Tokyo does have gunships up, which will help him out and kill them quickly, but not really the point. It shouldn't be happening if it's already happened once. As we can see though, we do have a T2 Serra in the sea. Surprised that isn't submerged as of yet. But he is going head on first. No, he's not. He's just saving it. So we can see though, Pietros was sick of the T2 air by Tokyo and just went, fuck you, I'm going to go and take it out. Now he has decided to take out the T1 bomber. As we can see though, the Tokyo's destroyer is now highly isolated. He is on his own. He doesn't have reinforcements. However, he does have about 10 T1 artillery shooting at it, as well as a Seraphim destroyer which is now being killed. That just shouldn't happen. If you're going to be attacked by Aeon, you submerge it and kill it from underneath, which is brilliant. As we can see though, Aurelius has really walked into the unknown. He has got a T2 missile launcher up, so he has successfully kind of got a bit of his eco back, but walking in on the side of Rail Island, waiting for a group of T2 Cybran destroyers to snipe you, bad move. Real bad move. I wouldn't say that was the best move by Aurelius, but he has survived it today at least. But very bad move. Wouldn't consider doing it myself. But bad move. As we can see though, there is a Seraphim cruise route which will cause damage if you tell it to attack long range any mass extractors that have been done. If we look, we do have T3 mass extractors by Tokyo now, and he has one of his Team 3 upgrading on its own, and it is 20% done. Yeah, oh, with that. Yep, that was, oh, it's 50% done. So now Tokyo is pulling out the mass advantage. He already has the T2, T3, and Pietros has barely got any. Pietros has just started building mass extractors around him. As we can see though, there's quite a lot of engineer activity going on in Momo's base. We need more action. He does have, Aurelius does have his mantises trying to assist his SU to boost his health back up. We do have a massive T2 gunship assault going on in the T2 shield of Tokyo, of Momo, which is quickly being swept under the rug by Pietros. But he does have that T2 destroyer still on the outskirts, killing it. And that shield is now down. So yeah, confirmation. Tokyo was going for the T2 shield. Now we have a push. After he's regained his eco back, we do have a push by Aurelius, which is pushing into Momo's base, which is also being assisted by the two T2 destroyers, and the third one is about to join them. However, on the right hand side, we do have a big clump of Pietros' naval just stopping Aurelius from being able to build on that side island anymore. Brilliant gameplay this. However, Momo has realised that he cannot. He needs to have sea control to try and stop this massive bombardment of air, as well as the 3 T2 destroyers closing down on his base. And his answer to that is, I'm going to artillery spam, come round the back of you, so you better fucking run away. As you can see though, he does have radar